In this video, I'm going over the latest reopening news for Guatemala, and the latest news, I mean the latest news. Follow along. Okay, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is you're located. This is the latest news for the reopening of Guatemala for international flights and tourists. Starting today, it is the 18th of September 2020, and this is the latest news. And when I say latest, normally my news is over the past week and 3 and 4 days. Well, since today is the first day, I have a little bit of news from, let's say, starting yesterday, and then from today as of a couple of hours ago, and even like today as of an hour ago. Let's just jump right in with the latest news. And the latest news is the president of Guatemala has tested positive for coronavirus. This is as of an hour or so ago. I think first reports were maybe a couple of hours ago. So this is latest. This is September 18th. Go figure. You want to know ironic? This is the day that the country is opening up to international travelers. And this is after saying the virus is going down. Well, I mean, they've been saying it a little bit. It's been going down, or at least it's stable. And that day, just go figure, the same day, the president pops positive for the virus. Now, let's read this. This is going to be a quick story before I begin the rest of it, because I want to go over more than anything the biosecurity features that are going to be at the airport that you're going to have to deal with. So stay tuned. Do me a favor, again, if I'm offering any information of benefit, do me a favor. Number one, please like this video. And again, if I'm offering any information worth benefit and you want to see more, do me a favor, go down and hit subscribe, click the bell to be alerted of any new videos. And again, let's just jump right in. Guatemalan president tests positive for coronavirus. This is an hour or so ago. The Guatemalan president Alejandro Giammattei wearing a protective face mask as a precaution against the new coronavirus arrives at Constitution Square for the Independence Day celebration in Guatemala City, Monday, September the 14th. Guatemala and Central America are celebrating 199 years of independence from Spain. So jumping right into the story, and this is going to be a short one again. But an important one. I mean, the president, we can't say that here. Not right now. We can't say that here. The Guatemala City, according to the Associated Press, this is actually coming from U.S. News, so usnews.com. Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammattei said Friday he has tested positive for the new coronavirus, but he told a local radio station he feels well. Giammattei, 64, has multiple sclerosis and uses canes to walk. No, I didn't know that. The government press office said in a statement that Giammattei will be isolating himself from all public activity, and so all communication will be conducted remotely. The announcement came on the same day that the country reopened its borders and international flights after 6 months closure due to the coronavirus pandemic. The country's health minister said that foreigners seeking to enter Guatemala would have to present a negative PCR test taken at most 72 hours before entry. Guatemalans returning to their country and children under 10 would not be subject to the test requirement. That's interesting. Guatemalans returning to their country and children under 10 would not be subject to the test requirement. All those entering or leaving would have to wear face masks. Now that's extremely interesting because they're going to be on the same plane. That's, if there's any big takeaway out of this story, that's the first one right there. But Giammattei closed its airports and borders with Mexico, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador on March 16th. The country of 16 million has more than 83,600 confirmed coronavirus cases and 3,036 deaths. And this is copyrighted for the Associated Press. Again, that was a quick story, but I wanted to throw that one out immediately because that's news. That's news. The president of Guatemala has tested positive for coronavirus and is now self-quarantining. Okay, so let's take a day back before I get to the meat and potato story. So stick with me because the next one's going to be important. It's going to go over what's happening and what's going to happen at the airport, and that's as of today, the 18th of September. So this one is Prensa Libre. And La Aurora Airport reopens amid expectation and uncertainty. This is from yesterday. The government changed the protocols at the last minute, informing that it will only accept PCR tests with a negative result of coronavirus for entry into the country. The tourism sector and airlines are waiting for the first day of reopening of the airport and borders. This was put out today, this morning, September 18th. Wait a minute. That's not the story. I want to hold off on that story. Let me jump into this one because this one's from yesterday. Yeah, the 17th. Guatemala reopens its international airport. Guatemala, according to the Associated Press, and I am on sfgate.com. The Guatemalan government is getting ready to fully reopen La Aurora International Airport, which had been partially operational after the borders were closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic in March of this year. The airport, which will resume operations on Friday, has been operating only with humanitarian flights in which airlines have transported a variety of passengers, including those who have been stranded in other countries amid the health emergency. The Minister of Health, Amelia Flores, said that health protocols were established for the total opening of the airport, which include that each passenger arriving in the country must present a negative PCR test and that it has been carried out at least 72 hours before their flight. At the airport facility, screens were set up that detect people's body temperature, and the space was marked to keep at least 1.5 meters away. In addition, a tricycle was adapted with a camera and screen system that detects temperature. This will make tours of the facility to scan people and alert to individuals with high temperature. So this little robot's going to be rolling around the airport. You're at 98.9. Please follow me. Francis Argueta, the director of civil aeronautics, said 4 flights from 3 airlines are scheduled to arrive on Friday. He added that in principle, the travelers will be those who seek family reunification or do business, but the tourism will be gradually respecting the protocols that have been established according to the country's contagion traffic light. Remember, they have it's color coded, red, orange, and so on. The more severe, the darker the color. To leave Guatemala, the Civil Aeronautics Directorate has implemented checks on passengers to determine if they have symptoms of the coronavirus. So let's just jump into my main story. And again, this one is from Prensa Libre. And I'm not sure, a couple of these sites, I'm not sure. I believe they're in Spanish, but my browser automatically switches them. Again, I understand you guys can read. I'm doing this so if you're in the car or others, like if you're cleaning, you know who you are. If you're cleaning and you're listening to me, much appreciated, number one, for watching, liking, subscribing, and even more importantly, commenting. That gives me the energy to keep going. Hence, I put out a video yesterday on Colombia, and I'm doing this one now the next day. I normally don't do that. It's normally a few days apart. But this is news right here. So let's go over what's going on at the airport as of today. Things are changing. So here we go. La Aurora Airport reopens amid expectation and uncertainty. The government changed the protocols at the last minute, informing that it will only accept PCR tests with a negative result or coronavirus for entry into the country. The tourism sector and airlines are waiting for the first day of reopening of the airport and its borders. Again, I know you can read. I'm doing this so you can do it while you're cleaning, and maybe you don't want to look at me, or you just want to listen. So let's get to the meat and the potatoes. Less than 24 hours after the first flight scheduled to reopen arrived in the country, yesterday the air sector and also the tourist sector in general did not have official protocols related to the control of COVID-19. It was not until after 7 p.m. on Thursday, last night, September 17th, that the government released the approved measures. They're running it close. The day prior to the reopening of the country's 2 international airports was marked by contradictions in different communication channels between the Guatemalan Institute of Migración and Ministry of Health, the General Directorate of Civil Aeronautics, and COVID. Both Mark Rogers, president of the Guild of Tourism Operators, and Mari Rodas, executive director of the Guatemala Airline Association, confirmed that until last night they had not been notified of the authorized protocols, despite the fact that there were documents early on published and disseminated by government agencies. The protocols are being released too late and still with last-minute changes. What can you tell travelers? Asked Rogers. Well, yesterday, doubts also persisted in the private sector about the equipment capacity and the number of health center personnel to attend to travelers who do not bring evidence and request that it be done at Aurora Airport. For today, according to Francis Argueta, Director of Civil Aeronautics, 4 flights from 3 airlines are scheduled from Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Houston, and Dallas, with approximately 450 people, not counting private flights. That's actually pretty light. 4 flights, 450 people. They're sparsely filled. I thought all the planes were filled. At least when I tried to get it, they tell me everything was booked up. So maybe they're holding off on passengers, and the airlines are working with them, not sure. But anyway, in general, the authorities indicate that entry to the airport will be done through body temperature cameras. The use of a mask is mandatory and physical distancing must be kept. The air terminal will have signage to comply with this practice. Regarding land entry, Migración of Guatemala will only verify the documentation, and it was indicated by the Guatemalan must know on their own what requirements they must meet with their country of destination. For example, El Salvador will request a PCR test, according to the Minister of Health, Amelia Flores. Remember, this is being converted, so not all the English matches, perfectly. The grammar's not going to be perfect. If the entry is by sea, the ship's doctor must certify by means of a manifest that the state of health of the people who will descend to Guatemala. The test is not required here because due to the characteristics of the navigation, it is not possible to access them before arrival. Scenarios are unfavorable, despite the fact that the director of the Guatemalan Tourism Institute, Minor Cordon, stressed in a press conference that the opening of tourism destinations will be gradual. The reality is that most recreational activities are restricted. Scenarios protected by the Association for Research and Social Studies refer that with the opening of the airport and international trips between July and September, it is expected that the third quarter of 2020, the total tourist consumption would reach Q3000, that's I guess 3,000 quetzal, and 394 million. But with a loss of income for Q5, for 5,000 quetzal, I have to get used to reading the money. 5,000 quetzal, 290 million. That is, the balance shows a deficit. Do me a favor, anybody who's in Guatemala that understands how you say the money, help me out with this. Is it 290 million, 5,000 quetzal? Is it read backwards? I'm not sure. Okay, per month income of 875 million quetzal, I think I got that right, could be recovered in October Q1. Oh, and keep thinking quarter. And then 1,800 million quetzal in November. And I'm going to lead that. I'm going to need help from you guys who can read the money. I'm still learning that part. But the loss with respect to the projected will reach 1,000 quetzal, 695 million in October, 1,752 million quetzal in November, and 1,843 million quetzal in December. Contradictions and uncertainty. But the publication of protocols out of time will not be the only obstacle for the recovery of tourism. The fact that recreational centers and specific destinations such as beaches, rivers, lakes, and national parks continue to be closed, it is a barrier for trips, both internal and external tourism, to be reactivated soon. Tour operators and airlines were also taken by surprise by a notice from the General Directorate of Civil Aeronautics stating that La Aurora Airport will only be open for commercial passengers from 5 to 1800 hours. So from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m., taking into account the curfew in the country, which is from 9 p.m. When there was talk of the reopening of the airport, schedules were not specified. And later the airlines had to change their programming because they already had scheduled flights after 6 p.m., said Rodas. Another difficulty that travelers may face are the prices for a PCR test, in addition to the fact that in many cases, they are delivered up to after 5 days, and the maximum that the protocol accepts is 72 hours. That's interesting. Remember, you're supposed to get that test within 72 hours of flying. And I know for sure, my first test I didn't get. The second one was someone we knew. It took me, I think, a day and a half, 2.5 days. And then I did the rapid one, which took like 20 minutes. I would suggest that you do the rapid if your insurance takes care of it. Otherwise, it's $250 here. But this says the former director of INGUAT, Jorge Mario Chahon, recalled that prices vary, but that one of those tests can cost about US $500, almost the same value as the ticket. So it looks like if you need to have the test done there, they're going to charge $500 because it doesn't cost that much here. That's extreme. So initially it had, do me a favor, take a look at this story. It's in Prensa Libre. You're going to want to refer back to this one. Initially, it had been indicated that a PCR test with a negative result for coronavirus would be required. But between Wednesday and yesterday, it was reported that it could also be one for antigen. However, yesterday afternoon, Minister Flores and other authorities indicated that for the entry of nationals and foreigners, the PCR test is required, or as an alternative, to commit under oath to quarantine in the country for 14 days. So it's the honor system. So I guess some people who show up and don't have it, seems like they would check it on that side. But looks like they're going to check it at the airport. And if you don't have it on the Guatemalan side at the airport, then you could possibly have to quarantine for 14 days. And if this is for leisure, I mean, that's not looking good. But it's the honor system. I'm not saying break the honor system, but, by all means, adhere to their policies. And for everyone who's not Guatemalan, or even for my other videos for Colombia, or from wherever I'm doing it, for whatever that country is, adhere to their policies in that country. Adhere to their rules and their policies. Don't go there and be American and say, well, I'm American. I got these American rules. No. Adhere to their rules. So pay attention to some of these details, and by all means, do due diligence on your end and research this information on your own, not just from this one story. Regarding the health pass, until yesterday afternoon, the online link where travelers had to enter to fill out their form did not work. In addition, hours before it was indicated that it would be done through a mobile application. It is a site where the passengers will make a registration, and after that, they can print it or generate a QR code that will be used for check-in at the airport. So it's just like when I did the Colombia yesterday. You have to go through la Migración and do this, fill out this information online. I guess this is for tracking purposes. But this states, however, Rodas said that the health area installed at La Aurora Airport does not have QR readers. So they are going to ask the traveler to bring the printed proof, according to airlines and users of that area, on Thursday in the afternoon. So you can go online, you can fill out the information, you'll get a QR code, but you can't use it from your phone because they don't have QR readers there. So you're going to have to print it out and bring it with you. Seems like that's the same thing as showing it. Either you can scan it or you can't, but at least they'll have a full sheet of paper that shows that you've gone through and filled out the information. I'm sure there's more information other than the QR code on that paper. Some requirements and obligations, income and expenses from international airports. Again, some of the verbiage, I've already read this, but some of the verbiage is not one for English. So as I sputtled through it and, some of the grammar is not there, just bear with me. Health guideline for the prevention of COVID-19 for travelers entering or leaving from international airports, La Aurora, and Mundo Maya. Prior to the trip for the arrival or departure of Guatemalan, those responsible are air operators. Inform passengers of their requirements at airports. Required test, a negative PCR test no more than 72 hours previously applies to people 10 years and older for passengers entering the national territory. Use of a mandatory mask for people over 2 years of old. 1. The airlines must provide those who do not wear them. Let's say, so if you didn't bring it, they're going to give you one. Passengers with severe respiratory and cognitive difficulties who cannot tolerate them are exempted from the use, I would assume that's exempted, from the use of masks. Again, so there may be people on the flight that don't have to take the test because they're nationals. And if they have any other issues, respiratory or cognitive, they don't have to wear the mask either. So good luck with that. Passengers leaving the national territory must comply with the requirements of the destination country. Upon arrival inside the airport, responsible epidemiologist, surveillance unit, and emergency operator center request negative PCR with a maximum of 72 hours after it has been performed. With return migrants, the procedures already established in the corresponding protocol must be applied. Request of public health information from all passengers. National passengers identified as suspected cases and their contacts must be transferred with the assistance of COE to the isolation center. Cases in quarantine. International passengers who develop symptoms during the flight will not be allowed to enter the country. Wow, they saved the best for last. International passengers who develop symptoms during the flight, because remember, you took your test, but other people didn't, and they're not wearing masks. So if you get a rapid symptom in your 3 or 4 hour flight, or even 2.5, I think it is for me from Houston, 2.5, that if you get off the plane and your temperature is high or you have other coughing symptoms, let's say you have a cold, it's stating here that you will not be allowed to enter the country. So anyway, I wanted to get this information to you as soon as possible, especially the GMA, the president, has just proclaimed today, the same day that Guatemala's opening for international flights. I will tell you this, I miss Guatemala. I wish I could go, but I'm going to have to leave that to you young cats to get out there and enjoy it. I love that. I had another story I was going to read, but I'm going to stop now. It had to do with not San Antonio Polo Po, but it was another Polo Po, which was in between Panajachel and San Antonio Polo Po. And it was about the small town that had zero cases of the virus. But that now the tourists are opening back up. They're having to reach out to the native, I think it Cachicalas, somebody tell me, the native Cachicalas. And I'm probably saying that wrong. But I'm going to have more stories coming out soon. I wanted to get those out to you today because I'm ripping and running right now anyway. But at least you know now a little more information about checking in at the airport. Do me a favor, like this video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. If for me to get this video out to other people or to be shown to other people, the way that YouTube does it is, let's say I have 100 people look at it, or let's say I have 1,000 people look at this video, and out of that 1,000, only 20 people like it. Well, they're not going to spread it with other people in YouTube. But if 100, 200, 300 people, 400 people like the video, and the closer you can get to one-to-one, they're going to open up more and more opportunities for me to share this information with you guys. So do me a favor, like. Again, if you're getting anything of benefit out of my videos, take a second. After go down and hit the subscribe button. Click the bell to be alerted of any new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. Much appreciated. Be safe.
We have a YouTube channel. Like it. Please comment and share if you like the video. Please subscribe and kick the bell.